Welcome to a new video. Today about my Lupo 3L, because there are a couple of updates. I'm currently driving the car daily and also for the last months, and it's been an interesting experience because suddenly my costs of mobility were dropping so dramatically. I can still drive with 4 people, I can carry a lot of things, and it's really a remarkable little car, but there are also some issues. So I will show you what's going on in this video and how we fix it. So as I said, I'm currently driving the Lupo on a daily basis. Fuel consumption is around 3.5 liters on country roads, Autobahn, and also in city traffic. We are still not on the right tires, so they are 2 wide winter tires, so the fuel consumption is slightly higher than it should be. I can see that it does work if I'm only doing country roads, that works, but on the highway especially it's going up. And also city traffic is a lot of stress for the gearbox as well, because it always needs to use the clutch and shift and stuff. So the natural habitat of this car are country roads, and then the fuel consumption already works with 3 liters even with these tires. The cool thing is I can transport things with the Lupo, which is actually one of my smallest cars, but I cannot transport with any of my other bigger cars. For example, I wanted to change the winter tires to on the Phaeton, and I cannot transport all 4 Phaeton wheels with any car, not even with the Phaeton itself, because I can only put 1 wheel in the trunk, and then there's not enough space for a second wheel for the trunk to close. You cannot fold the rear seats, and you also don't want to put the winter tires on the leather seats at the back. In the Lupo, no problem, you can fold the rear seats, and because of that boxy shape I can put 3 tires above each other and the 4th tire next to it, and even a 5th tire would have space behind it. So amazing what you can do with this car. And at the same time, like I said before in the other parts, it drives like a much bigger car. Now to the problems, it is a 26-year-old car with a lot of high tech, but also with some very basic things that now fail. For example, I was driving and realized that the front right headlight is sometimes going off and on low beam. High beam is fine, but low beam was a problem. I opened it, I checked it, and I saw that the connector is really shot. It's really like falling apart after 26 years. Old plastic, it's just brittle. So I ordered 2 new headlights, and we will replace the headlights, which actually is also a good idea. These are the original headlights, but you can see I made them prettier already, but they are still kind of yellow, and I want to have nice clear headlights. Interesting here is that the headlights for the Lupo only cost 37 euro each. If you want to have these 3DL specific indicators, which you also had at the FSI model, they are actually 47 euros, so it's a lot more expensive than the headlights. I also planned on changing them because one is cracked and they're slightly dirty, but I will keep them for now, maybe swap them later. For now we concentrate on the headlights. Okay, so the front bumper is off, and that wasn't too easy. And I want to show you why. First of all, you can see someone tried to take the bumper off here before, and there is still some zip tie. And here is one screw, and this screw is usually connected to the front bumper, but it's really hard to reach. So why would you put such a little screw in here? All the other screws are super easy to reach. So just from the wheel arch and then the top one, just like any other car, but then it still doesn't come off. And the reason is this screw. So you cannot really reach it from below, you can't really get your hand and tool between there and then rotate it and stuff. And if the light is in here, it's also a lot harder to reach it. And you need to take the bumper off because the light has a fixing here. So these 2 fixings here and the one here are super easy to reach. The one here is only reachable if you take the front bumper off. And the front bumper can only be taken off if you reach that screw. So in the end, I can show you this on that side. So this is how it's supposed to look like. So there is this infill, which is also something you don't really know from newer cars. So this is just to keep the bumper in place. It just clips into the front bracket. And this is where the screw sits. So you can see it's really tight to the light. You cannot really reach it with any tools. So in the end, I took the wheel off. Then I loosened the wheel arch liner. That, by the way, is our air filter. And then when you look inside here, then suddenly there is a foam. I will get you this. So we have this piece of foam sitting there. And if you then take this piece of foam out, then you can reach this screw. With a long Torx from the back, let's see if you can see this. See, this is how you reach that screw. And now another funny thing is, and that's something we might want to optimize on this car, is this upper nozzle. Not sure if you can see this here properly. So this nozzle, this is actually where the engine is sucking air from. And I was always wondering at this car, where does it suck the air for the engine? Because the air filter is here. It doesn't take any air from the front. So it doesn't use the high pressure in front of the car. It just uses this air from before the wheel arch liner, so from that corner. And then it's also sucking it from this cavity, which is being created by this foam. So I don't really understand why they did it that way, but it doesn't look very efficient to me. So let's improve that, I would say, because I want to take the air from the very front. Okay, so the front is disassembled and there are a couple of things we can discuss. For example, things that are different than today's cars. The front crest structure is steel. You can also see it's starting to rust here in this area, but it's painted. It's painted in black. Also this upper bracket for the front, which is something we don't really see today anymore because manufacturers are saving lots of costs. Back in the day, it was important that if you look at the car from the front, you don't see any silver parts or something. Everything should be black and nice. We can see that if we look at the cooling system, it's quite a simple cooling system. And you can see here how the water radiator isn't straight in the car. So it's actually angled. So it can still fit next to this, next to the side structure here, the longitudinal beam. And the intercooler is next to the water radiator. There are no other radiators here, so there's no condenser for the air conditioning system. And yeah, like I said, the intercooler is next to it. The good thing is that both radiators, so intercooler and the water radiator, get the same cool air and they have nothing behind them, so it's pretty efficient. We can also see that they concentrated on intercooling here, because the intercooler has a nice duct. So it's taking the air from here and then spreading it all the way up to here and guiding it exactly on the net. And that's pretty important if you want to have an efficient car like a Lupo 3L. Cooling was not really that important for them, and you can see that there are no seals around here. And this is just how the air is hitting the water radiator. So a lot of air can go around the radiator here actually, and cooling or overheating problems were not really an issue for this car. So we can see where the priority is here. And another thing we can see very nicely now is the intake system. So let's go through it backwards. So we have the turbocharger sitting here at the back, and then if we go upstream we find the map sensor here. And then we go down into this box, and that is our air filter box. And we can see where the air filter is sucking the air from, and this is from the wheel arch basically. And the funny thing about this is that there is this foam So you can see the foam is sitting here. It's this whole piece. And it's really a strange way of designing this intake system, but it was a thing at the end of the 1990s in the VW company. Me as someone, or I as someone who was in the Audi technical development 20 years later, designing cars in terms of aerodynamics and cooling, I don't really understand this. Nowadays, cars have the air filter right here and then suck the air from the front, so you can get the stagnation pressure at the front, which is the best thing you can have. So it's the highest pressure in front of the car. Higher pressure into the turbocharger also means that you have a more efficient car. In that case, they positioned a huge air filter underneath here. So that was the packaging space which was still available. So they used it here. So they have a huge air filter and they suck it from this cavity inside this foam where you can't really see where this air is coming from. So there's no real air inlet. There's nothing behind the light. There's nothing from the wheel arch liner. There's nothing from below. So it can't really suck a lot of air from there. So in terms of pressure, in terms of performance, that's not really a good solution. But it is super clean, super dry air. And also snow and rain doesn't really affect this because there's the wheel arch liner from the back and it's also closed from the front and from below and from above. So it's a super safe solution, but not a very efficient solution. And it's kind of weird and we have to change the air filter from below, as we could see in my other video. And here we can see the old and the new headlight. So inside they look pretty exactly the same. Also these connectors here, everything is very much the same. The only thing is you have to use these motors to electronically or electrically adjust the height of the lights and then put it in the new one. And there's such a placeholder here. You just take it out, put this one in, and that's it. Interesting to see is the seals. So the sealing of this light. So let's turn this around. And you can see the difference between them. That's a huge difference. I mean, that's 26 years old and I already made it prettier, but you can never reach this finish. And also it's kind of dirty, there's stuff inside and so on. So originally you have these seals around here, which is pretty important because this is the high pressure zone in front of the car and every air that's leaking inside the engine compartment is creating drag. So you want to have a proper seal and we can see that there is a nice fluffy seal. It's actually a little bit bigger than the original one, so this should work even better. And that's something I'm looking out for when I'm replacing parts, if the quality stays the same, or it shouldn't get worse with these parts. You can see here are a few more letters, so it tells you that this is the top, which wasn't really necessary. Would be nicer if it isn't there, but yeah, nice lights, let's put them in. And now we can see the headlight from the right hand side, and this here is the reason I'm changing that headlight, because that connector inside is completely gone and just falling apart. So we change the headlight. So putting everything back together is easy. I get closer and closer to the look that I wanted for the car, so this original 1999 look. And we have nice headlights now, just needed to adjust them again. And now we can go on to solve the next problems. So I hope you enjoyed that and see you at the next video.